What up, though? What up, though, everybody? And welcome to the Retired Hood Rat Podcast. It's your favorite retired hood rat, your girl comedian T.Barb. Don't forget, relapse is a part of recovery. Okay? So if you are trying to retire from being a hood rat, hell, if you're an active hood rat, welcome to our podcast because here we talk about all types of things. Thank you for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe and like. We're live every Monday at 9 a.m. And don't forget, we're on all platforms every Thursday. So go click the Retired Hood Rat. You can follow me on all platforms too, comedian T.Barb. And today we have an interesting show. We are talking about narcissism. You hear the word, everybody is narcissism, narcissism. Some people think we're overusing this word, but we're going to get into it we have some amazing guests today. Let me introduce our guest. Number one, this is first off, she is a certified expert in narcissism, but this is also my friend all the way from the 6th grade. Can you believe it or not? The beautiful Imani. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, no, you gotta go on the thing. Okay, wrong person. There you go. It's okay.
All right, here we go.
Hi,
Thanks for the introduction.
Oh, you are welcome. Beautiful, successful, and she has had her bouts with narcissism. We also have on the panel today. This is comedian extraordinaire out of Detroit, Houston, all over the country, and she is super funny. And she's had her own bouts with narcissism. Shelly T in the building.
Hello.
Honey, gotta go right here. But I'm sorry, y'all. I'm instructing.
Yeah,
I'm instructing at the same time. That's
How
a lot.
you doing? My mic not on or the headphones not on either.
Okay,
so
maybe it's your headphone. Oh, you know what? I unplugged the thing. We can hear you just fine.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
No, I can hear y'all.
Okay,
Yeah.
look, because this ghetto. Okay, it's okay. Retired Hood Rat Podcast. And also, friend of the show, an expert on the show. We give it up for Teona on the building. Okay. We have an amazing show. We have our ladies here. We have our super producer today, Tara, who will be talking about narcissism. So let's get into that conversation. Look, there go Tara right there, y'all. Give it up for T-Dog. Okay, solo layout back on me. Just solo me.
Okay.
We got we doing it, man. Look. Well, let me hold on. I might have to switch my little position.
Yeah,
Boom.
she's
And then
trying
at
to-
the top, bow. Okay.
Yeah.
If this is your first time listening to the show, we do our retired hood rat word of the day, which is my opportunity to be the Ayanla of the ghetto. Because I am so. And then after that, we'll do our retired hood rat prayer. The prayer is not about any deity, it's just about putting that positivity out into the air and having it be just a part of your daily life. You know what I mean? So, oh, hold on, I messed up. There you go. Hold on, I'm messing up. I am just like over here. Look, I'm trying, y'all. I'm doing like this. Somebody help sponsor this show. If you want to sponsor this show, so I could get a lot of help because it's really supposed to be 4 people. You know, when you look at a radio show with 27 people in the back, but today is me and T, and we is doing this. Detroit is different. If you want to advertise with us, make sure you hit me up, tbarbentertainment@gmail.com. And speaking of, make sure you hit up Loving in Our Purpose. If you're in the Metro Detroit area, you have Medicaid, or you have a loved one with Medicaid and you've been taking care of your loved one, make sure you hit up Loving in Our Purpose at lovinginourpurpose.com or 1-800-975-5812. Today's word, because y'all know I can give a word. Okay. Today's word is fuck them. I'm gonna start with that. I'm sorry. I know I'm cussing in the beginning. It's early in the morning. I'm sorry. Fuck them. And the reason I say that is because a lot of times we get into bad situations or we stay in bad situations because we don't want to seem like the bad guy. We don't want to seem like the one that can't keep friends. We don't want to seem like the one that can't keep relationships. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes maybe you're not a good picker. It may not be you. It may be you. But regardless to what, you still have to do what's in your best interest. And sometimes when you're having an issue with being wrong, because sometimes you didn't pick the wrong friend, you didn't let the wrong person come over. You didn't dated the wrong man. You thought he was good. You didn't ignore the flags, which is what this narcissism conversation is about. But that's okay. Don't worry about being the person that looks bad because that happens to me all the time. Okay. Let me tell you something about T.Barb. T.Barb is open arms. Oh, okay. You need what you need. I got you. Then I turn around and find out they ain't shit. Now I gotta let them go. And I didn't put them in my bosom. I didn't try to help them. I didn't try to coddle them. And what I'm realizing is that's a gift and a curse. Because although I want to help people, I can't help you to my own demise. So I gotta say fuck. And I can't worry about the outside world saying, I give you an example. My auntie, I love my auntie. Shout out to my aunties, right? My auntie was like, yo, because you can't keep no friends. I was like, auntie, yes, I can. My friend from the 6th grade on the show today. I mean, I can. What it is that I've been so open and accepting of so many people for no reason. They haven't had to work up to being my friend. They ain't had to do nothing. I'm just like, hey, you need a ride? I'll pick you up. Oh, you hungry? Come over here. I'm going to cook for you. I haven't made those persons work up to that. So now it backfires on me because now it's looking like, yo, just like dating men. I date the wrong man. I know he ain't no good. I know he ain't shit. But he got some money. I do keep me some with some little money. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it real. He told me he didn't want a relationship. I saw how he treated his last woman. I saw how he was treating his last spouse. I mean, I saw all these things, but guess what? I think I'm so powerful, I can change the world. And when it backfires on me again and I can't be around those people again, the outside looking in don't really understand what it is that you're even go through. So before I let somebody be a part of my demise, fuck them. Before I let you take me down, because for a long time in my life, I would let people take me down. You come on, we all sinking Titanic in this bitch. And now I'm looking like the villain. But guess what? I don't care about looking like the villain. I think people should be thankful. Hey, you got this out of me. That's okay. But I can't keep letting that go. Because in order for me to be a better person, I have to acknowledge one, that, hey, maybe I need to take a little more time with investing in the people. If I want to do some charity work, I'll be feeding the homeless. Sure. I can go feed the homeless. I don't have to let a person be in my personal space until they've earned that right. And if they earn the right and they don't treat the right well, rather than continuing to be in a dead end situation, fuck them. There you go. That's our retired hood red word of the day. Bum, 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 bum. And guess what? I'm going to pray right after this. Because guess what? Everybody need a prayer after they say fuck them several times. So remember, this prayer is not about Jehovah, Hishnu, whoever. I say God. If you don't want to say God, then yeah, you 5%er, hey, pray to yourself. And if you're driving, don't forget, okay? Don't forget, don't bow your head. Because if you crash, here we go. Dear God, we are asking that people have the courage and the understanding to know their power and to understand that everyone does not deserve their power. I want a person to understand their importance, their values, their gifts, and understand that those values and those gifts make way for things and that everybody ain't for everybody, God. I just pray that you put the right people at the right time in these people's lives and understand if there is someone around that is not supposed to be around, please show the signs. And not only show the signs, but give them the power to accept those signs and to move accordingly. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
All we need to do is some church organ. So we're going to get into this interview because we have a guest that I want to start with. Shout out to Shelly T, Teona, Imani on the show. I'm so excited to have everybody. But I want to talk to my girl Imani. Imani, first off, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome.
We talking narcissism. And I know that you do a narcissism chronicle where you share your experiences with others in hopes of helping them. Can you talk a little bit about your situation? What happened with you?
Okay, I sure can. So I actually wanted to piggyback off of you. You said, fuck them. You think that, like, well, people think
Can
that,
I get them in my
you know, you can
headphones?
change. I'm sorry, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay.
And
That
nothing
you
is
can
on.
change somebody, and if you can, then just fuck them. But being in a narcissistic relationship, it's easier said than done, because they don't try to break you down immediately. It's gaslighting, it's love bombing, it's controlling you and being possessive, and all those things kind of like cumulate into a toxic relationship. And when you're gaslit, you don't really know if you're coming or going. So it's so hard to just say fuck it, because you've invested so much time, energy. You think this person has the potential to change. You think you have the potential to change the person. So it's just so many different variables that goes into being in an abusive and or toxic relationship, that is, and it's different for it looks different for everyone. So it's really hard to just say fuck it. And I say that because, I mean, we don't have all day. My situation is awful, or it was awful. Actually, it still is awful, because this person is still stalking me to this day. But I'll like share some of my story. I don't even have time to tell it all. But the gist of it is, I met this guy in 2019. He was a court officer for the Brooklyn Supreme Court. So that should already tell you right there that he thought that he was above God. Most people in those type of positions, authoritative figures, already think that they are invincible, untouchable, and can do whatever it is that they want. And unfortunately, he was able to do that to me. Definitely ignored the red flags. I thought that because he was popping up on me when I told him I was hanging out with my girlfriends, and he came and bought us a round of drinks, that was him showing me that he loved me. But no, it was just showing me that he was possessive and controlling and wanted me within reach. And then slowly but surely, I think I had attachment anxiety. So because he was being so controlling and possessive at the beginning of our relationship, even though somehow in the back of my mind I knew it was wrong, I still attached to that, if that makes sense. So I'll stop and say it took a ton of therapy after, like intensive therapy, after dealing with that particular situation. But through my therapy, I learned that I needed therapy before, because that attachment came from having abandonment issues when I was a kid, if that makes sense. So then I attached to this relationship that was completely toxic, because it was a lack of what I missed, like in my childhood. So I just wanted to kind of like preface it all with that. But so I met this guy in 2019. He was a Brooklyn Supreme Court officer at the Brooklyn Supreme Court. And he basically abused the fuck out of me. Like, I remember 3 months into the relationship, my son now is 10 years old, but he was like 6 or 7 at the time. His daughter was the same age. My son never liked him. And that's like the telltale. Like, my son, when he first met him, he said, "Mommy, he's funny, but I don't trust him." Ignored that.
Oh, that's too.
Definitely ignored that. And I thought it was because, you know, my ex-husband is a great person, good dad to our son. And I thought it was more like my child was saying this because he didn't want someone to come in and replace his dad. But that wasn't it at all. Like, children and animals, I guess they have this third sense, I don't know, this sixth sense. Anyway, so we go to Kalahari in Pennsylvania. And when we get to Kalahari, we get into an argument, and I don't even remember what it was for. We were getting stuff out of the back of his truck to go into the hotel. And he got mad at me. I can't even remember what it was about, but I remember he was speaking to me extremely disrespectfully in front of my son. And I was like, you can't talk to me like that in front of my kid. Like, you can't talk to me like that, but you cannot talk to me like that in front of my kid. Like, because my child already, I'm thinking, does not like you. So long story short, we go into the room. We get into our room. I go into the bathroom to like compose myself, because I really want to leave at this point. But I'm like, you know what? we here for the weekend. It's for my son and his daughter. I'm gonna just make the most of it. So as I'm in the bathroom, he leaves out with my son and his daughter. So when I come out and they leave their cell phones, he left his cell phone. So when I come out the bathroom, I'm like, okay, how you just gonna take my kid? So then I call my ex-husband. That was like the red light for me. So I call my ex-husband. I say, hey, I know that you're probably busy, but whenever you get a chance, can you pick me and your son up? We're in Pennsylvania at Kalahari, and I don't get a good vibe. Now, mind you, this is the first time that my son, myself, and this narcissist have been together, and I just was gonna call it quits at this point. So my ex-husband was like, okay, that's fine. It'll take me a couple of hours because we were living in Brooklyn at the time, and it was about 3 hours away. So with that being said, I went and got me something to eat. I left my phone in the room because it needed to charge. So when I came back to the room, he was going through my cell phone. The kids were back. They were back. He was going through my cell phone. And when I looked at Liam, my son, and he was like, Mommy, he made me unlock your phone because obviously my kid has my password.
What?
Oh, hell no.
I take the phone from him, and I was like, Liam, get yourself together, because he had his stuff he had on swimming trunks and he was wet. I was like, Liam, get yourself together, we're leaving. So my son goes in the bathroom to change his clothes. The animal was like, what you mean y'all leaving? I was like, David, that's my ex-husband, he's coming to pick us up. The shit sent him over the edge. Like, he started, fuck you and your husband, fuck your fat ass son. He's just going in on me.
Oh my God.
So my child comes out of the bathroom. We're walking down the hallway to leave. Now, mind you, his daughter is the same age as my son. She's also in the room. So he's following my son and I down the hallway, just berating us. Fuck y'all. Fuck. I hope y'all get into a fiery crash on I-90.
Oh my God.
All this shit is saying. So we go downstairs, and the way that Kalahari is set up in Pennsylvania is weird. Like, it was kind of late, and so they didn't have like a true lobby in the hotel. So we were literally sitting outside on a bench waiting for my ex-husband to pick us up. His daughter, who's the same age as my son, like 7 years old at this time, is in the room by herself. Because mind you, he followed us outside to harass us. So we're sitting there, and he's going off. You dirty bitch. I mean, he's just all this stuff in front of my son. And my son is crying. And he's like, Mommy, why is he talking to you like that? And I was like, Liam, just try to ignore him. So fast forward, my ex-husband comes. We leave. I block him on everything. I'm not talking to him anymore. So then, like, a month or two goes by. He's reaching out. He gets these fake numbers on. I can't remember what app it is, but you can call people from like fake numbers. So he's blowing me up. I have like the Verizon bill to show. He was literally calling me like 200 times a day on different numbers.
Wow.
Like, I'm sorry. Just let me apologize to you and Liam and David, and it'll never happen again. Just give me another chance. Blah, 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 blah. Now, my ex-husband was like, nah, fuck all that. I don't want him around my son. If you choose to be around him, that's on you, but he better not be around my kid. I don't trust him. He was saying all that shit because that's how he feel about my kid, and I don't want him around him. So fast forward, for the sake of time, I'm still dealing with this asshole. And that's the love bombing that I was talking about. It's just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go to therapy. He ended up going to therapy because he was like, is something wrong with me talking about your kid? And really, I'm jealous of your child because I wish that my daughter was as articulate as he is, and this, that, and the other. And I want to apologize.
So let me ask you this, Imani, real quick. Did you talk back to him again after that instance? As far as like dating him again?
Yes, remind you, this is like a few, like maybe 90 days into the relationship. That was my first red flag where I should have fucking bounced and never talked to him again.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Boy, that was Six Flags. You know, like when you go to the United Nations and it's like 57 flags and they just gone. This was that. This was red, yellow, green, blue, pink, turquoise.
Wasn't it? Like, I really regret, and that's what I talked to my therapist about, was like the anxiety attachment. It was the strangest thing, because it's like I knew I shouldn't talk to him, but because he was love bombing me so much and going to therapy, recording his therapy sessions for me,
So
like
love
all
bombing,
this stuff.
and I hate to stop you, just so people understand, because this is my first time hearing that term.
Oh, I'm very familiar.
You
with
very
it as
familiar?
well.
Okay, Shelly, we're gonna get to you because you got an interesting story as well. You say love bombing. Can you define that just for people who are listening to understand what that is?
Basically saying all the things that make you feel loved. Simple. It's I love you so much. I can't live without you. I'll change. You mean everything to me. Basically saying all the things that I feel like every woman wants to hear, but it's not genuine. It's not authentic. It's basically gaslighting you. It's basically manipulating you to feel like you are wanted and you're loved and you're valued. But one thing about a narcissist is that they only love themselves. And honestly, I don't even think that they love themselves, because they do so much shit that is to other people. And it's like, you hurt people. If I love myself, I love other people. So like, I really don't understand. And that's something else that I'm working through. Like, how can a narcissist only love themselves? Like, I don't think that I think that they're incapable of loving, period. It's definitely,
I think it's a sociopathic type of thing a little bit. And I think that because one of the reasons I wanted to talk about narcissism is because, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was like, yo, everybody using this new word, narcissism. And it ain't been like that. And he, you know, his impression was, as a society, we learn a new word and we using the hell out of it. My impression was, we labeled it as something else, and we didn't recognize what it was. And you touched on a key point, Imani, which is that a lot of times it comes from our own insecurities or our lack of self-love or abandonment issues, which you're not the only one. A lot of people have abandonment issues that they just don't identify as abandonment issues. So you say you're in counseling now. Was this your first narcissistic relationship, or did you think of it as a pattern?
It was my first. Okay. And it is my last. Like, I didn't even know what narcissism was until I got into therapy and was talking all of this through with her. And I'm like, is this really a thing? Like, this is really a personality disorder that a lot of people, and not only men have, like, women can be narcissists as well. Like, I have been opened up.
That was my experience.
Your experience was with a woman?
Yeah.
So Shelly T.
Yes.
You have had your bouts with some negative relationships that you characterize as narcissists. So let me ask you this first question, right? Are all bad relationships or all bad mates, are they all narcissists?
No. And everybody has different things that make them bring out, you know, even people that don't, first of all, nobody's gonna identify as a narcissist unless they've been through some extreme counseling. But for the most part, everybody has some narcissistic tendencies. What made it more pronounced in my life was because I also had I was what do they call it? A narcissistic enabler. Because of how I grew up, I enabled a lot of the behaviors, and also because I didn't have boundaries. And a narcissist is gonna let you they're gonna go. They're gonna keep pushing the gas. So if you don't have boundaries, that's like a narcissist playground. And I didn't realize that until I was seeing someone, and then they start violating my boundaries over and over and over again. I just let them because I was not wanting to be alone, and they knew I was lonely, and they played onto that as well.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Did you, because I know with Imani, she was saying from the beginning, because that's only 90 days in, that horror story. Let me tell you something, Imani. You got to go to Lifetime with your movie or Tubi.
Listen, that was like that was the what do you call it?
The synopsis.
That was the PG. No, that was the PG version. Like, what made me leave was 100 times worse than that.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Hold on.
yeah.
Hold on to that. Because I
Right.
want to hear, because I know you got to go a
Right.
little early. So I definitely want to hear. Don't forget, it's the Retired Hood Rat Podcast every Monday, 9 a.m. Click subscribe, click like. We are talking narcissism. Every Thursday, we are on Apple, Spotify, all platforms. So Retired Hood Rat with comedian T.Barb. Relapse is part of recovery. Shelly,
Yes.
because I know Imani talked about seeing some red flags in your situation, and you're saying yours was with a woman.
Yes. So it was my first girlfriend, and I had my first real girlfriend at 27. So I
Okay.
hadn't dated women. I had sexual encounters with women, but I hadn't had an actual relationship with the woman. And so when we met, I had the same experience with love bombing. And what my experience with love bombing is, not only are they just doing everything, saying all the right things, they doing stuff specific for you.
Yes.
Like things that you like, oh, okay, you may have brought up in conversation, and they own it. And it's like, damn, they damn near be like, is this, they come in like a soulmate almost, because they gonna be on you, but what they're doing is mirroring you.
Yep.
They're not going out and just doing all this love shit. They're just mirroring what you are.
That's not who they are.
That's not who they
They
are.
they just picking up, and I
they
think
picking
that,
up your energy and be like, okay, and giving it back to you.
and that's one of the biggest
Absolutely.
things with narcissism, and I think how it's so covert. Is that, and I know for myself, I identify with a lot of these things, maybe not as deep, because I was raised by a narcissist. I love my daddy to death. I love my daddy, but it took me getting older to say, damn, if he would have did that to me, I see why my stepmama tripping, you know.
Yeah.
And don't be wrong, my stepmama. But anyway, I see why those things happen, because he was a narcissist, and so I was more prone to those behaviors. And like you said, they're paying attention to everything, and you're thinking, damn, he love to listen to me. Oh, damn, or he or she, oh my God, she loved gumbo. She made me some gumbo. She was listening, taking notes on it.
Taking notes, checking it off, right? And so here's the thing about that specific to narcissists. They're going to give you the world up top, and then they're going to breadcrumb you afterwards. So
Absolutely.
And so when they're breadcrumbing you, they're just, okay, every once in a while, they'll give you a little glimpse of what they used to give you when you love bomb. And so you sticking around, hoping that you're going to get that first time around love bombing experience when they was so into you and they was chasing you down, trying to get you locked in with them. And no, you're never getting that again. That shit is gone. But you don't know that. And so you just chasing that high. It's like drugs. You just chasing it, hoping it come back around. And it never is, because they got you now.
So got him. Teona. Have you ever dated a narcissist?
A few.
Did you have a similar experience with feeling the love bombing, and they're gonna do all this, and then is it the same pattern for you?
Yes, the same pattern, and a lot of them will do something wrong and try to make you think you the one that was doing it wrong.
Gaslight.
They would literally
gaslighting.
talk you into it like you the wrong.
I got to experience
that on that.
Sure.
When you know you right in your head, you know you right, but you think for a second like, well, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, you don't know if coming or going.
Right, trying to see it from their point of view, like, well, was I wrong? Was I wrong? You literally,
am I tripping?
Talking to yourself like, am I wrong? Maybe I was wrong. So then you let it slide, then you let that slide, and
then next thing you know, you just letting shit slide all the time. For example, I had let my ex-girlfriend use my car or whatever, because we were all open, we poly, whatever. We supposed to be living this life. We're both bisexual, whatever. We're supposed to be free, but open, but in communication with each other. I let her use my car to go see her friend that used to live out of state with her, and they lived in Ann Arbor. She left at 5 o'clock with my car, 5 p.m. At 11 o'clock, she texted me like, I've been drinking. I don't really want to drive. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't want you to drive from Ann Arbor back to Detroit if you've been drinking anyway. Don't fuck my shit up.
Right,
okay, whatever. The next morning, I'm like, okay, hey, if you got somebody's car, to me, I'm up at the crack of dawn, bitch. I'm about to go drop your shit off. At like maybe 9:10, I'm like, okay, hey, what time you come in? 11, she texts me like, oh, I'm about to be on my way. This bitch did not come back with my car till 1 o'clock. And we supposed to hang out in the morning. And she had to be to work at 3. So I'm pissed. Because I'm like, so fuck the time we supposed to hang out. So you just gonna, and then in the time, like from 11 to 1, she wasn't answering the phone. So I'm like, oh, y'all fucking.
So
you know,
now,
yeah.
but that's
Yeah.
the she could have been at McDonald's, but
Yeah.
that's the underplay for the.
Yeah.
So Imani, let me ask you this, because after that story, you say you went back. Do you
Yes.
feel like it's like what Shelly was saying, that it was that crumbs that you went back because did he make you feel like you did something wrong, or did you go back and attempt to have that same love as before?
I went back because, well, so Shelly definitely hit the nail on the head with the breadcrumbs and giving you just the world. But really, I went back because he had been recording his therapy sessions and emailing them to me. And I was like, okay, well, clearly this motherfucker know he got some issues and he's trying to work past them. So I'm going to give him another chance. Yeah.
Wow.
And
Wrong,
when narcissists
wrong
go to
fucking
therapy,
idea.
you just really giving them the blueprint to go further on into their narcissism.
Exactly.
I have a question. Do you think it's something like in our childhood
Oh, it definitely is. I was about to bring that back.
that can
Yeah.
affect how we accept narcissists
I
in the
will.
first place?
I'll say that. Okay, so with my situation with the woman, it was because my mom, she's in my life or whatever, but she never was like, oh, I love you.
Mhm.
You know, she's not very super nurturing, but she gonna make sure you straight. And so when I started dating her, it was like this overwhelming nurturing experience from a woman that I never had. And it was like, even though it was, you know, my girlfriend, it was like a motherly love in a sense of like she made sure I was straight, love bombing the fuck out of me, make sure I'm good, you know. And it was just like, it's because I was able to trace that back because I'm like, oh no, I just was hung up about some shit me and my mama had got going on, like, because I just wanted that love so bad. But
And to
it ain't it.
piggyback off of what you just said, with me, it was my biological father didn't want shit to do with me because he was married. My mom didn't know that he was married, but he was married when my mom conceived me. When she told him that she was pregnant, he basically ghosted her. Now, this is back in the 80s. He literally ghosted my mom in the 80s. So then my grandfather, God rest his soul, stepped up and he was my dad. And my grandfather's this little Jamaican man. He was very, how do you call it? Like, he was just very a manly man. Like, he didn't take no shit. He provided for his family. He took control. And so that's what I saw in that fucking animal. Like, was my grandfather, if that makes sense. But then it was just like, no, bitch, you have abandonment issues and you have attachment issues. And that is why you stayed in this fucked up relationship. Like, this person is just unbelievable. So can I tell y'all what happens? Because I gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah. We will tell us what happened. Jesus.
Okay. So I will spare y'all the little stories in between, but the big thing that made me move back to Detroit and make me like in the relationship was, so we're going back and forth with all this different toxic shit that I'm starting to crave, right? Because he's breadcrumbing me. He's like, but I love you. I'm sorry. I'm whatever. He's mirroring everything that I want him to be. He's not his authentic self. He's extremely disingenuous, but whatever. So he convinces me, this is during COVID. So he convinces me to take a cross-country road trip with him so that we can work on our relationship. And it was something that I told him I always wanted to do. I was like, I want to take maybe like me, a couple and like 3 other couples and go across the country in like a Winnebago. Do not judge me, but that was just something that I said I wanted to do on my bucket list. So he was like, well, let's just do it. Let's do it, me and you. So granted, I had some apprehensions about it, like in the back of my mind, I know this nigga's crazy, but this is something I want to do.
The first thing I heard was, remember that noise from the game show where they were like, round.
Like, girl, you got to definitely.
I'm listening. Go ahead. I'm sorry. They just talked in my mouth like, rah. You know when they lose on The Price is Right.
Right.
Go ahead. You in the Winnebago.
You ain't lying. You are not lying. So, long story short, so we go on this trip. We leave Brooklyn, and FYI, I was living in Brooklyn. He was living in this town called East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, which is like an hour and a half away from Brooklyn. So we start on our merry way. So we're driving. We're actually having a good time. We get to, I never get this, and I might start crying because this shit just pisses me off. So we get to Utah. So we're in Utah, and you know how you can when your phone is connected through the Bluetooth, if you get a text message, the text comes up on the dash. So my friend Rayon, who lives in Brooklyn, he had texted me just what up, like he's literally just my friend. But the narcissist had been stalking him, and I didn't even know this.
Wow.
Until way after. I found out so much stuff like way after. So he was like, why the fuck is he texting you? And I was like, I don't know. Let's read the text messages because I have nothing to hide. So I open my phone up and I show him the text messages. And it literally just said, what up, though? What's happening? So he was like, didn't I tell you I didn't want that motherfucker texting you? I was like, whatever, you tripping. So then he says, you know what? I'm gonna teach your ass a motherfucking lesson. And the way that he said it, y'all, I felt like in that moment, I think he about to kill me. Like I literally,
when you said cross country trip, I was like, he's about to bury this motherfucker.
Keep you some scissors.
Yeah, or shoestring. Keep you a shoestring, boo.
I hate y'all. So look, so mind you, we're in Utah. So no, yes, we were in Utah.
And you gonna go with all the Amish and the polygamy at? You know you ain't about to get no damn
dirt out there.
Right.
Your ass about to come back and want them hats. What them hats that the Amish ladies be wearing? You was about to be human trafficked. We were just talking about that.
Y'all, I'm so happy I can laugh about this shit. So I swear therapy works. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this nigga about to kill me. No, I'm lying. We were not in Utah. We were in Wyoming.
So worse.
All right.
So I know. So he drives off of the freeway.
What?
He exits off the freeway, and we're going like probably 10 miles out, like on this exit, and there's nothing on both sides. There is absolutely nothing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I know I can outrun this nigga. Well, as soon as he stopped, I'm just running. So
You ain't look for a weapon.
it was nothing in the car. So so he pulls over, and there's like a farm, maybe like 300 meters away from the car, from where he parked. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna run to this fucking farm. So he parks the car, and he hopped out quick as fuck, and he was like, get the fuck out. I'm leaving you here. So he takes my shirt. Like when he got out the car, he pulled me across his seat, right? So he pulls off my shirt. He rips my bra off. Like I literally have no fucking top on. So he starts throwing my shit out of the car. Like, I'm leaving you here. So I'm standing there like, okay,
Shit.
what the fuck? So right as I'm thinking, like, should I run to the farm? And then I'm thinking the farm looked kind of deserted, so it might not be nobody over there. Then he got my phone. Like, if y'all can imagine, like, so much shit is going through my mind, and like, I don't know what I should do. But by the grace of God, there was a utility truck coming down the road. I could not believe this shit. So it was an old white man driving it, and he stopped like right at the car, and he was looking like, what the fuck? Like, if y'all would have seen his facial expression, it was kind of funny, but
He ain't seen no shit
Nothing like that except on TV.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He was
For
like, what's
real.
going on in the
he
town?
literally was looking like, what the fuck? So then he motioned me to come to the van, to come to the truck. So I run to the car. Mind you, I don't have shit. I don't have my purse, my phone, nothing. And my damn top. I'm like holding my shirt together so my titties won't be jiggling every fucking where.
Oh my God.
So I get to the van, the truck. I open the door, and this nigga grabs the back of my neck and pulls me back down and was like, what you think you're doing? You're not going nowhere. Get the fuck back in the car. So he pushes me back into the car. And we're fighting though. Like, I'm trying to get away from him, But obviously I weigh 112 pounds wet. This nigga was like, I don't know, 170, I guess, 180. So I'm fighting him, and the utility truck man just pulls off. So he gets me back in the car. We're driving down the highway, but he puts me in the back seat. So I'm looking on the floor, and I'm looking like, okay, I got to get away from him. So I'm looking around in the car. I see my cell phone underneath the passenger seat. So I pick it up. As I'm picking it up, I notice one of my braids is like on the ground. This motherfucker pulled out an entire braid from my scalp. So I'm crying. I'm upset. I call 911, and I got the audio of that shit if y'all ever want to listen to it. I needed it for my court case. So I call 911, but I'm doing it inconspicuously. Like, I don't want him to know that I'm on the phone with 911 because he probably will strangle me to death at that point. So I'm telling the operator, like, yeah, I really want to go. I really want to get out the car. Will you please pull over and get me out of the car? And I'm saying the mile markers as we're passing them. So then eventually, like 2 minutes later, the state troopers pulls us over.
Wow.
So the state troopers pulls us over. They have like a domestic violence person with them. And she was like, you did such a good job. You have no idea how many domestic violence calls we get because apparently there's nothing to do in this state but beat your wife or whatever.
Wyoming, believe it or not, is the #1 state for suicide.
Wow.
Okay.
We had an episode talking about our mental health Mondays, which I got to go back and listen to. We looked it up in Wyoming, and it's a high number too. #1 for suicide.
Yeah, they actually told me that at the center that they took me to. So she was like, you're lucky and this, that, and the other. You did a great job by being, telling us where you were without alarming him. Because like he had no idea that I was on, and I put the phone like down on the seat and I was screaming and crying, but I'm telling them the mile markers. So they arrested him, took me to like a domestic violence place, and they flew me back to Brooklyn. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I got to get away from him. I don't know what I'm going to do. So I tell my mom, now mind you, I'm not telling anybody about this abuse. Like no one knows really what's going on. So I call my mom and she's like, Imani, you need to just move back home. I don't want anything to happen to you and Liam, blah, 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 blah. So he gets back, right? Like he gets out of jail, whatever. A week after this happens, my son and I, it's 11 o'clock at night. I'll never forget this. My buzzer starts ringing. Now, in my mind, I'm already trying to process, like, how do I move my life? I've lived in Brooklyn for almost 10 years. I haven't been to Detroit. Before that, I lived in Texas. So, like, how do I start my life over in Detroit? Like, I'm just processing all this stuff. I had a pretty good job. My son was in a good school that I really liked. So I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what's the next step? But I do need to move because I think he's going to try to kill me. So it was a Saturday night, I think it was. My son and I are watching TV in the living room, and my buzzer starts going off. My door buzzer. So this is Brooklyn. DoorDash and Instacart and all that shit, they always just buzz random buzzers. So I don't think anything of it. So after it happened like the 7th time, and it was like a different person every time, and they were all men. Liam, my son, was like, Mommy, why do people keep ringing our buzzer? And I was like, baby, I don't know. So this guy, he texted me and was like, hey, Imani, this is Stuart, open up. And I'm like, the fuck is Stuart? So then I call him and I was like, how do you know where I live? How do you know my name? How do you know my number? Like, who are you? And he was like, I was just talking to you on Tinder. And I'm like,
what? So my man's went and made a Tinder profile and put your correct information. So let me ask you this. That's a lot. We gotta come back on this show. We gotta definitely come back on this one.
Yeah, it's so much.
Let me ask you this. Was he ever prosecuted or for any of these?
The only thing that happened to him was that he got fired. Like, he's now a used car salesman in East Stroudsburg. He is no longer employed for the Brooklyn Supreme Court, but that was it. Honestly, I'm the one with the fucking record, because he stole in the middle of that. Remember, I said there were little parts of this story. He stole a dog that my ex-husband and I bought my son, and I went into his house and took it, and I got charged. Well, initially it was burglary B&E, but it was, I got it reduced.
Well, let me tell you something.
Oh shit.
You know, that just really speaks to, and I'm
It's
so
no
thankful
justice
to
in the
even be
justice
hearing
system.
this story, because hopefully somebody is listening and understanding that you need to pay attention to the signs from the
Yes.
beginning, only because, and that's why, and I love what you said when about the message when I said fuck them, because you can't always, but I'm gonna say this: if from the very beginning you get that sign, okay,
Yeah.
and it don't always have to be huge, but it can be monumental. And what I think we do is we talk ourselves out of feeling
Hell yeah.
deserving of having some standards or some
Yep.
boundaries. Because
Yep.
that's just like with me and my career, right? A lot of people go and let's say somebody say, hey, I want you to come to Montana and do 2 hours of comedy for $50. It's people that be like, I'm gonna go because I'm scared of missing the opportunity, right? So you meet a man or a woman or a mate. Sometimes we're afraid of being alone, like you said, Shelly. So we accept everything. Let me ask you this, Shelly. Oh my God, man, this is so much.
Yeah.
With your situation, with the girl that you were dating that was a narcissist, what was that aha moment for you where you was like, I gotta get out of here? And how did you make that transition? Was it as hard
Okay,
as
so
what we just
and
heard?
it's still been as
Because we
I
had
feel like
Tinder.
mine
We gotta
wasn't
come
even
back
been
to
that
that
crazy, but it's still crazy nonetheless. So it was a couple of things. So we were still messing around on and off up until last year, and I brought her around a guy that I wanted us to have a threesome with. That was my main guy, and when I brought us together, they knew each other from childhood. They went to the same church. So I already
Not the same church.
Yeah, they knew each other from
I'm
childhood.
done with this right here.
Yeah,
What's going
I'm
on
sorry
at
we
that
just
church?
end up
What's going
laughing.
on at that
This is a
church?
serious conversation, but I just can't. Okay,
Listen,
same
so
church.
that happened
Going
or
back
whatever.
to the same. They went
So
to Triumph.
so they end up knowing each other from when they was 12 or whatever. I end up getting so intoxicated. We didn't have a threesome, whatever. I end up seeing that they would be texting each other after that or whatever. And they weren't telling me what the fuck was going on. So long story short, not to put anybody business out there, but fuck her. I end up finding out that they fucked around behind my back because my ex-girlfriend got real bad eczema. And I went over his house and I went to his bed and I seen the skin on his bed.
Oh my God.
Fuck out of here. This is like
this bitch was losing skin.
Come on with the skin.
So I stopped dealing with both of them at that time or whatever. But then she came back begging me, like on her hands and knees, like literally came over my house on her knees begging me or whatever. And I was still
Did she leave some skin on the floor?
So I end up still putting us all together, trying to do a throuple thing, whatever. They end up every time I would be, she just started trying to make him like her man. Right. She never had a fine ass nigga before, so she like put him on this pedestal that I didn't even really have him on.
Right.
So that really started irritating me or whatever. So I stopped fucking with both of them again. Then when I came back around, then they was in the open relationship with each other. So anyways, but when they got in the open relationship, she didn't want him to fuck with me no more. So me and him was just being friends. So, but what she didn't realize with me, him just being friends like that after we didn't already been having sex for a year and some change, that just made us closer. And this was my main nigga anyway, before her.
Right.
So anyways, long story short, she was doing a lot of foul shit. She was like telling him like, oh, she want to be just with him and she, you know, but we could be open, whatever, but he the only nigga she really want. That's what she was telling him. But then she would be hanging out with me and doing hoe shit. So it's like, bitch, how you gonna tell me I can't have my nigga no more, but you out here still doing hoe shit? And I still wasn't even telling him. So she was out doing hoe shit, and then it was like, but then she didn't want to fuck no more with me. So I'm like, this is you giving me weird vibes because when you drunk, you want to fuck, but when you sober, I can't make a move on you, or I can't try to like lead this somewhere else. I don't need alcohol to fuck. you making me feel weird now that you only want to have sex with me when you're drunk. And so it was like one last encounter with her. I went out and hung, and it seemed like it was a small thing at that time, but it just had been boiling up from then.
Yeah.
We had went to a bar, and after the bar, it was like a guy that we both knew that lived like not even a mile down the street. She like, let's go over there and smoke for a little bit, whatever. Now prior to this, she like, oh, I gotta go get up early in the morning. So I'm like, she like, let's just go over there, we'll smoke a little bit. We ain't gonna stay too long. So we end up sitting in the living room smoking. We can smoke about 3 woods. So that's a lot of weed now. All right. So I'm looking at the time, like, all right, time to go. And then before I even like say it's time to go, he's like, hey, y'all want to go up to my room? To me, that sound like we done been sitting in the living room smoking for this long. Why we need to go up to your room? We just came over here to smoke. So to me, it seemed like she was trying to set me up into a threesome or something like that, because I know that guy was attracted to me before too. So it was just like, that put me in a weird situation. And she just told me she don't want me fucking with my old nigga because her and him got something going on. So that situation just totally rubbed me the wrong way. She's like, oh, because I was like, I'm ready to go. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. She's like, oh, I'm gonna stay here a little longer. So I ended up leaving her there with the nigga and just left, like going home, because it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I'm not about to stay here longer. We done already smoked 3 woods. So I just stopped talking to her after that or whatever. I didn't even tell old boy about none of her shit. He ended up coming back around me because he wanted to get his hair done, which I should have just been done with him too at the time. But because I needed some money, and I'm like, whatever, I'll do your hair. And then so he's like, oh, why we can't talk no more. Da, da, da. I'm like, I'm not doing that mess with you and my ex. Like, I'm not doing that no more. And he's like, why y'all stop being friends or whatever? Because she told him, she told her the story, but she ain't telling the story for real. Trying to make herself look good. So I ended up telling him what happened. And so he ended up breaking up with her. Me and him started kicking it again. I ended up starting doing drugs. Girl. I was on drugs with him.
So this guy ended up leading. So okay, because there's a lot going on. God damn. Okay, bye. Y'all got my little ex-boyfriend. He a narcissist. And because I dated a guy last year, which is one of the reasons why I'm satisfied with being single right now. Only because, and it wasn't even that bad, but I saw the writing on the wall, and I'm thankful because although I went through some red flag stuff, we can't go out nowhere with him without being a problem. I never seen nobody drink that much in one sitting. Everybody know I've been getting fucked up a long time, and I thought he was gay at the same time. That's another issue. I felt like it was definitely some
low key shit going on.
Absolutely. And he a manly man, a motorcycle man,
and them be the ones
get money,
for sure.
buy me all kind of stuff, and a lot of, and this is why I had to get out the money thing, because a narcissist could smell that.
Oh yeah,
that I love money, and that you can cash at me a little extra, and I might call you, hey, what's going on? So, with that being said, you stay with this guy,
yes,
after all this crazy shit where you should have been done with him anyway.
Yes,
and so the pinnacle, because what I love about this conversation is we're kind of showing people where this can go, where it goes from being just a little messed up, like Imani, it goes from Kalahari incident to you just being in the middle of fucking nowhere and barely making it.
Yeah.
And for you going from, which is traumatic for a lot of people, for somebody you dating to flirt and do that shit in your face, whether it's an open relationship or not, because it's still a respect factor. And setting you up, because what if this guy would have came down and been like, no, she said I'm getting them cakes today and drug your ass, because it happens, or I'm high, or put something in the wood or whatever. You go from all that and end up on drugs because of him?
Listen, because I was wanting to be done with him. And then I never even messed with no outside of weed. But then at that time when me and all 3 of us was hanging out, that's when it was introduced to me. And then I never was like, oh, okay, let me get some of that. Let me get some of that, until like once he came back around and I was doing this hair, and then it was just me and him. After a while, he's like, well, you want to get high? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. Now every time I see him, we're getting high. And then now it's like, okay, it just like that. Now I'm doing coke, like, and it was just, it was just easy after that. And then it was like, okay, well, I know if he come around, we gonna get high. And it wasn't even, I never spent my money on it, but because it was free, it was different as well. It was like, okay, well, and it just was like, I never even seen myself down that. I had been offered that type of drug before that guy. I always turned that shit down. It was because somebody that I cared about and was in a relationship with brought it around me that it desensitized me. And it wasn't until I ended up getting arrested with him. We got pulled over. And that was like the eye-opening experience for me, because I ain't never been in jail. I ain't never been no criminal, none of that. So it was just like, oh shit. And ever since, I've been clean from that shit. I ain't looked back.
Yeah.
But think about this.
I like
You had to step up because
Mhm.
it's just a progression. And
Yep.
I think that being human beings, and I think this is even down to the planet, everything you see with human existence is almost like we gotta experience it, or we gotta go real far. We
Yeah.
can't just take that enough is enough.
I was even journaling that I'm done. But I just didn't have it in me. Like I
Yeah.
think also the drugs did play a role, because it was times where I was done, but then he would come back around and it was like, okay, now I'm in it. And then towards right before we got arrested, it was like I was hanging out with him every day. And I literally prayed to God like 2 days before that. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna be done with this man, but I want to be done so bad. Like I said, I just don't know why he won't leave me alone.
And what it is sometimes, and this is messed up, but it's still a saving grace. And I don't think a lot of people see it as this. Sometimes he'll take you to the lowest of the low
Absolutely.
in order to force you,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you be praying, because your prayer never comes out the way that you think it's gonna come out.
Right.
You just like somebody say, I'm praying for a bunch of money.
Mm-hmm.
And then you turn around and now you got a fucking farm and you clean up horse shit and they give you $1 million. You ain't think that that's how, I mean, I'm a comedian, so it's always gonna come out silly. Teona, any moments for you where you was like, you know what, I'm done with this?
Yeah, I just a year ago, I was in North Carolina, had moved. I was dating this guy, make 6 figures, like staying in a brand new house. He brought it brand new on a golf course. I'm talking about, like, I didn't go in the store. I ain't open my purse for nothing. My daughter go to Michigan
get you
State.
with that money.
Listen, my daughter go to Michigan State. He brought everything when she moved into her apartment. I'm talking about ain't one for nothing. So I kept on coming home because I'm my grandbaby. Like, he my favorite person in the world. Everybody know that. So he like, I go home. He like, why you at home? I'm like, because my family here. So he already had an attitude.
Mhm.
Then so I ended up going to the hospital because I thought it was an abscess. Come to find out, I was allergic to my blood pressure medicine. I had been taking for like over 8 years.
Mm.
So I almost died from some blood pressure pills. So I'm in the hospital and I'm telling him, like, yeah, I'm in the hospital. He was like, well, I don't give a damn what happened. What you're gonna do is get your ass out the hospital. Go get Fat. We're gonna take his fucking mama to court. We're taking Fat. He's coming here. You don't need to go to Michigan. He was like, your kids would never want for anything. Keandre and Mayana would be like Landon, and never want for fucking anything. You're gonna get your ass here, and that's what you're gonna do. He said, and your mama is grown. I said, well, you
gotta be careful with that money shit.
Listen,
I
went left on him. I went left and told him, yeah, I fly first class because he do put me on first class. I fly first class now, but I've been on this plane in the middle or in the back.
Okay.
Now, I might not been in first class, but I've been riding those.
Right.
Okay. Well, I left his ass alone. Like, that was, and then when it was stuff like I didn't have an ice maker no more on my refrigerator. I got mad because somebody had ate my ice. I was like, I should have stayed with James.
Yeah.
But I never went back. He still called me to this day.
But I think that that's a good thing you got out at that point, because if you're in the hospital and
Mhm.
somebody don't even know if you gonna make it,
Right.
and they worried about them, that's a big
because he had to take his clients to go hunting. They was going hunting. And they do this trip every
let
year.
me tell you something. I hate to break this down right here. And maybe I'm wrong for this. Shout out to all the hunters what listening to the show. I'm sorry. If somebody say they hunt, I'm instantly like, you know what? I don't know.
Military
and
people.
my cousin is married to a hunter. And but she's a bougie and all this. She was telling me, like, they in a tent and shit. Anybody who could sit in a tent
Blind.
for hours
They go sit up in a tree
and camouflage.
Blind.
in
I'm
Yeah.
a
scared.
tree for
Yeah.
hours.
I'm scared. Oh my God. So this Retired Hood Rat podcast, don't forget every Monday, 9 a.m. Tune in. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comedian T.Barb. Follow us on all platforms. And if you want to advertise with us, tbarbentertainment@gmail.com. You want to know where I'm going to be at? It's tbarb.isfunny.com. Oh my God. Interested. Oh, this is amazing. So when y'all know we got to do a part 2 to this.
Yeah.
We got to do a part 2. Imani, can you tell us your biggest, most helpful takeaway from your whole experience and how they can follow your journey? Because I know that you do vlogging about narcissism and your experience to help others.
Simple. Just don't ignore red flags. Like,
Don't be afraid. So
yeah, and you know what? I think Shelly, you talked about the boundaries. Like he was like a habitual boundary crosser.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's one thing to have boundaries, but it's another thing to enforce them.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if someone is constantly pushed, like making you compromise on your boundaries and you feel a way about it, like that's a red flag. And I'm sorry, I don't know the lady that just talked about her being in the hospital. What was your name again? I'm sorry. Teona. Teona. Kudos to you, because it sounds like you had boundaries and you was like, you know what, I'm not about to let you talk to me like this. And you
From my baby daddy.
you basically just got out of it. But a lot of women, including myself, it's just like, oh, I have the potential to change this person. Oh, this person.
And that's an ego thing on our end as well. And that's the part. That's how narcissists get us, because they play to our ego. And so we're like, oh shoot, I can help, but you ain't God.
Exactly. And you ain't nobody's mama. Well, I am somebody's mama, but not his mama.
Not that man's mama.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly. So that's pretty much that's all I have to say about that.
Okay. And how can they follow your journey and check out your vlog and your post about narcissism?
So here's the thing. I used to on Instagram, because he would send me crazy shit all the time. That's part of the story that I was about to tell about the creating of fake dating accounts and giving all of my personal information. And I have all of that. I used to upload it on Instagram and tell a story, but in 2023, I actually deleted them all because I didn't want that kind of energy on my social media accounts. So I did write a book, and it's called Surviving Narcissism, and it's on Amazon. And what I'm going to do is just continue to write short stories. So that's basically what I'm doing. But it just felt kind of weird going into 2023. Granted, I want to empower other women and men to like be able to recognize the signs and not be like me and get in this horrible relationship that seems unending. But on the same token, I just wanted to not focus on negativity on the same token, if that makes sense. Like I didn't want to give it
you didn't want to give it energy, and it's nothing wrong with that. What's the name of the book again?
Surviving Narcissism.
Surviving. You know what? And I totally understand that, because sometimes you feel like, especially in the healing process, a lot of times in healing, we're just stuck on the problem. But eventually, after you talk it out, you have to move to the next phase, whatever that should be.
Yeah.
Shelly.
Yeah.
T. What is your takeaway? What advice would you like to leave the people with, and how can they get in touch with you or keep in touch?
Okay, so my takeaway would be to just let go of the fear. So sometimes we stick around for things way longer than we would because we just don't want to be alone or be lonely and sit with that. But it's also finding something to do. Find something within you to do that you enjoy, not something that you just gotta go make money for or whatever. For me, when I did experience narcissism, it was because I wasn't putting the full time into myself and developing my craft. And I could have been doing all type of other things, but I was just so wanting to have that energy and somebody around so bad that it's like, you got to have, you got to be okay with being just you. And also be firm in your boundaries.
Yes.
And if somebody reacts negatively because you trying to have your boundaries up, that's the first sign right there. Like how somebody responds to you when you're just setting up, okay, I don't be available to this for this day and that day or whatever. And if they don't take it cool, then that's the first sign right there to get the fuck
Yep.
on. Also, you know, like I said, just we gotta love on each other. It take a village. So also let with your friends, your friends know the nigga ain't shitty too. So, most of the time, a lot of time our friends just letting us go with the flow or whatever, but listen to your folks too. They know.
You say
Yeah.
speak up. How can we keep in touch with you, Shelly?
You can follow me on the gram at Shelly with the Fade. That's SHELLYWITDAFADE. And it's the same on TikTok. I'm on there as well. And I'm also on SoundCloud under Aqua Moon. That's my rap name. So yeah, check me out.
Let's do it. Make sure y'all check out
Love it.
Shelly. She's a comedian, a singer. She does hair, all type of stuff. Teona, what
Yes,
are
yes.
your narcissism takeaways and how can they keep in touch with you?
The same exact thing she just said about boundaries. Love yourself
Yes, that
is
love.
number one. Love yourself and realize stuff that you go through in life does not dictate where you got to go. Your
Yes.
past do not dictate your future. Only you do. So it's you and your decisions and the boundaries you allow or not allow people to have in your life. And I am Teona VL 313 everywhere.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And our super producer, Essence of Terra, who is my designer. She does all my hats and stuff. So if you want to get something, you can go to Essence of Terra, TERRA. See some of the pieces, some of the jewelry. If you love my T.Barb hats, my T.Barb earrings, all of my custom pieces come from Essence of Terra. So make sure you check that out. If you want to follow me, Instagram, I am T.Barb, TBARB. Also on TikTok, comedian T.Barb and T.Barb from Detroit. I have 2 TikTok pages. Also, make sure you click subscribe and like and share this podcast, especially if you know someone who is dealing with a narcissist, someone dealing with domestic violence, someone who just needs to hear this conversation. Please share it on your page. Let somebody hear it. They need to know about these conversations that's had. And also, Retire Hood Rat Podcast. Detroit is different. So make sure that you're doing that and tune in every Monday at 9 a.m. We are live on my fan page, Comedian T.Barb, as well as on YouTube. You know it, Comedian T.Barb, because you might be watching it here. If not, Spotify, Apple Music, every Thursday morning. Oh my God, thank you, ladies, so much for this enlightening and amazing conversation. Don't forget, relapse is a part of recovery. If you still a hood rat, we welcome you. And shout out to all my retired hood rats. Hey, auntie. Hey, unc. Go check out those new videos, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Tiff.
Bye.
I thank you so much. No,
Good
it ain't.
show.
It ain't touchscreen.
It was a good show.
There you go. Ain't touchscreen.
Girl.
She got to click it off. Hold on before you say something.